faith communities, it depends, most of the time, it depends on who you're talking to, because generally, I think there is so much to be done within the faith communities, understanding gender-based violence, as Professor Jo was saying earlier. There should be not just the leaders, but also the communities understanding it, because the faith communities is part of the community, and understanding that and the context of, within the faith itself. It's really, really important. And one thing, working in the coalition as a membership lead, one thing I've learned is we have very different type of faith groups, faith organizations working. But one thing I've learned is there is no God that encourages or that appreciates violence. There is no God. There is no faith or belief that encourages violence. So that's the basic common ground. But at the same time, we also know that abusive, coercive, people with coercive behavior, narcissist people, they belong to any faith. There is no discrimination. They're everywhere. If it's not faith, it's something else. So, appreciating that, understanding that, instead of saying, oh no, this doesn't happen in our community, just have an open mind of like, this can happen. And that's why, when we think about spiritual abuse, that's where it comes from, because that person uses spirituality to abuse others surrounding them. So it's really important to appreciate that. We did a survey with women of faith survivors in about 2-3 years ago during COVID time. And one of the things is, faith communities are the first point of contact for women and children when these things happen. So that place, the faith communities could be the first place, like a safe place they can go. And if safe plans are in place, that's where it starts. It's not just signposting, like call the police or call the national helpline, but they are themselves can be a safeguarding place. They point of contact, and they can even create a place where the women and children can stay safely within the community rather than stigmatizing. I think I'll start from one of our members once said to me, being a feminist and being a faithful woman can be a lonely place, because you go to the church and you're too feminist, and you go to your work, which is in the secular, the VAWG sector, you have faith. So it's like it's a lonely place. So that applies to the Faith and VAWG Coalition as well, because when you are working with building the trust between faith-based communities and secular groups, because they both have the same mission, maybe, because to end gender-based violence, but they have different priorities. So not belonging to both of them, but trying to build a bridge and building the trust in the first place is one of the challenges, because, the faith group thinks we are too secular and critical of faith and religion. And when we go to secular sector, they think we have faith and, we are related to a faith. So that building bridge is one of the issues. The other one is we're not interfaith groups, but sometimes we're misunderstood as if we are an interfaith group. But our work addresses violence against women and girls from a faith-informed perspective. And also we create a movement for other people, organizations, or faith groups, anyone who wants to fight violence against women and girls. So we are a platform, in the lens of social justice and faith tradition. So that's another challenge we have. The third one, which is already a little bit touched, is but really, really difficult one, is working with systems of oppression. We say that because faith can be racialized. Some people, you just look at them, people look at them and say, oh, she belongs to this faith or that faith. Or it could be, like assuming that they belong to a faith group. Or it could be the other way around of we meet so many white Christian women, but they say I have faith, but nobody take it into consideration. There is that assumption of, the secularism of it. So that's another issue, like, the oppression, the system of, the prejudice and all things together. The other one we think, I think it's a little bit mentioned by Natasha, is intersectionality. We try our practice, within us and also with our members and among the community, we try to create spaces that are intersectional, safe, and empowering, because that's not the case, unfortunately, in the domestic abuse policies. They don't reflect on that. Also, they are, placed in papers and policies, but it's not always the same. One example that really baffles me, and I know many organizations are trying to they're fighting for it, is the domestic abuse article in 2021, which is like to anyone who's being subjected to domestic abuse have a safe plan, safety, safeguarding. But that very important policy left migrant women behind, women whose visa and their life depends on their spousal, their husbands or partners' visa, and they're not entitled to go to refuge because they're not entitled to recourse to public fund. How many women, you call the national helpline and then they ask, okay, and then the question, what's her immigration status? And it stops there. And, it's really unbelievable and really, really difficult to turn around to the woman and say, we're really sorry, we can't help you because you don't belong, like you don't, this is a very difficult, very good example, but very difficult situation that many people do not understand, or it doesn't come in their day-to-day life, but it affects so many women and children, in schools and, across the community. So that's another issue. And one last thing is, again, interesting, the trust, ensuring the trust and cooperation between, between the secular and the faith-based systems, as they both have different priorities. These are the few challenges. Strategies. So how we do it is we build relationship that's a long-term based on trust. That's why the 45 members, it's growing within the last 2-3 years. So it's really rapidly growing. We are movement builders by offering support, resources, and we create platform. Funders will come to us. So we connect them with faith-based organizations or women activists and, movements. We also create community for our members. So we have regular monthly platforms they can meet up and, because they're not lonely, where you don't work in solo now, you have allies, so come together. We also have public activities to do that. But most importantly, we are open to learning. We are always, we don't think we know it all. We're not anywhere near, we're work in progress. So we listen to our members, we listen to our partners, we listen to anyone who has a better practice, and we learn from the lesson, and we continue to move on. These are some of the examples.